know what to tell you, but marriage is not gonna work. And I'ma just say that. The girl be tripping and falling and it's not even auto. But babe, you shouldn't have to fight for no man. It shouldn't happen, babe. It shouldn't happen. What is up, you guys? It is Nisha the Show, and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be getting into Love is Blind episodes 10 and 11. If y'all haven't seen Love is Blind, y'all are missing out. This show is literally tea, especially season 6. I mean, it's so much to unpack. I honestly wish that I would have done more videos about this before because the season is almost over, but I did start a little bit late in it and then I got all caught up. So I figured I would give a review of the latest 2 episodes and kind of give y'all my thoughts and my reactions because babe, when I tell you there's tea to sip, there's tea to sip. Honey, Sarah Ann, babe, Jeremy, babe, Laura, babe, Jimmy and Chelsea. Whew. What is going on? Before we get into today's video, you guys know that I always have a verse of the day every single day, period, poo. Period. So today's verse comes from Ephesians 4:32 and it states, "Instead, be kind to each other, tender-hearted, forgiving one another just as God through Christ has forgiven you." And that is on period, poo. Period. Okay. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the video. Let's start with episode 10, where all of the remaining couples, because we know Brittany and Kenneth are out of here, they're done. It starts with meeting the families. So it starts with Jeremy talking to his mom about what happened in the previous episode with Laura. So what happened in the previous episode, basically Jeremy went out drinking with his friends. He was at a bar and apparently Sarah Ann was there. Jeremy came home. Laura kind of found out and dug into him about what happened. The funny thing is she let him dig a hole for herself and then she was like, I had your location.
Where were you?
In the parking lot.
You're denying leaving the bar.
I don't want to talk about that right this second.
Just admit that you lied then.
I'm not going to lie to you about it.
You weren't at the parking lot of Lost and Found. Don't share your location if you don't want me to check it at 5 a.m.
That's bullshit.
Great.
So she knows that he was pretty much out with Sarah Ann. They were drinking and then he took Sarah Ann home, which is real tea, baby, because you're engaged to Laura. Why are you taking the other females home? Let me know. So the episode starts with Jeremy basically telling his mom what happened with him and Laura and the conversation that they had previously had. So Jeremy pretty much shows his mom lies. He tells his mom that he told Laura the full truth. You know, he was out with Sarah Ann and he really feels like Laura should respect that decision that he told her the full truth and he wasn't trying to withhold anything from her. But little does his mom know that's not what really happened here, babe. You didn't tell Laura the full truth. You tried to skedaddle over it and then Laura called you out on everything you lied about because she had your location on and she indeed was checking it at 5 a.m. Jeremy's mom is pretty much like, you're lucky. I guess I don't have a daughter anymore, but I would have been waiting for you at the door.
I was waiting on you at the door.
Even though Laura didn't really let him off easily, that's not really what happened. She's pretty much done with him at this point, but his mom is basically like, she let you off easy, but I guess I don't have a daughter-in-law anymore. Chelsea also meets Jimmy's parents in this episode and they have like a little sit down at a restaurant. It was really nice. Jimmy's mom seems really sweet and as always, they present themselves really well to others. I don't know what it is, but they have a really good habit of presenting to others like everything is cool, especially to the other couples as if they're the strongest couple, everything is good, which is ironically funny. But Jimmy's mom seems to love Chelsea. His dad and his mom give Chelsea the blessing. They say they love her. She seems really good for their son and everything is good.
She stole my son's heart. I can already see that. If this is what Jimmy wants, is to get married and start a life with Chelsea, I would be happy for her. That's all a mother ever wants, is for their kids to be happy.
But the thing is, in this conversation, Chelsea and Jimmy really downplayed their arguments when they've had the most arguments on the show. And so it's just really funny that they always, like I said, downplay everything that they're going through. But I know Jimmy was really happy about this because I know in the pods, one of his main things was like, I really want my parents' blessing on my relationship. And if he doesn't have his parents' blessing, it's like he might not go through with it. So that was really good that he was able to get his parents' blessing on the relationship. And then we move on to Clay meeting AD's mom. I love AD's mom. AD's mom seems great. Her name is Jacqueline. But Clay basically spills the beans on his parents' relationship. He says that he's scared of marriage because his parents' marriage ended in a divorce. It was because his father cheated on his mom, like he's been saying all season. We really don't understand. And that's pretty much what Jacqueline had to say to him. Like, what your parents have gone through and what your parents have done have nothing to do with the relationship relationship that you're in now. So you need to act accordingly. If you need to go to therapy, go to therapy. If you need to talk to God about it, talk to God about it. But babe, you need to get yourself in a mindset of treating my daughter right. It was weird because she said to AD, like, hey, I feel like this is a marriage worth fighting for and you guys are good together. But she also said in that same token, like, hey, if he's not good enough, if he's not going to treat you right, then don't feel afraid to walk away. So I feel like as a daughter, that could be very confusing because of course you want your mom's blessing on things, but also if you're telling me like this is a good man, fight for him, you shouldn't have to fight for no man. It shouldn't happen, babe. It shouldn't happen. And it was so funny because Clay came into the conversation reciting Bible verses. I don't know if I missed something, but Clay recited a Bible verse the whole season. What is, I mean, it looked good, I will say that, and Jacqueline loved it, but I was just like, Clay, good move, but still. And in this conversation, I feel like it was really good because Jacqueline kind of explained to Clay like, hey, I know your parents ended in divorce, but you have to realize that they had 24 years of marriage, and that's special. Even if 10 of the years were bad, you still have 14 years of good marriage and a good love, and a lot of people in this lifetime do not find that. And so I feel like that kind of made Clay feel better about the whole thing, but he still was kind of on edge about pretty much cheating on AD and not knowing if he's ready for a relationship. Clay had a moment where he got up and used the bathroom. AD got really emotional and her mom, like I said, kind of reassured her about everything that was going on in their relationship. And this scene kind of ends with Clay coming back from the bathroom and kind of just stating that AD has given him a lot in the relationship and he's just scared that he can't return what she's given him thus far, which is understandable because I forgot to mention at the beginning of the scene, she was like, I'm excited for you to meet Clay, talking to her mom, and she was like, I haven't seen him since yesterday afternoon. Why? Because Clay doesn't come home at night. I don't know what's up with guys in this season not coming home at night. It's really weird to me. But yeah, Clay didn't come home at night. She had this whole setup ready for them so that they can hang out and have some quality time together. And Clay didn't come home. He was out working, and I guess it's because his apartment, not the Netflix apartment, but his apartment is closer to whatever his job is than the Netflix apartment. So he feels that it's easier to just go back to his apartment at night, which is already a red flag. Y'all not even married yet and this man not coming home. I just had to get that off my chest because I forgot to mention that to begin with. But the next scene starts with Johnny meeting Amy's parents. This scene was really special. It was really sweet. Johnny and Amy have been the strongest couple this far. They haven't had many issues at all. The main issue that they had been having was birth control and basically how are they going to prevent babies, pretty much is what it boils down to. In this scene, you can really tell that Amy's dad really loves her. He cherishes her. He talks about how he remembers picking her up from school and she had a little backpack on and she was just very small at the time, but he eventually does give Johnny the blessing of marrying Amy.
I love your daughter. She's an amazing person. You did an amazing job raising her. And I want to have a good relationship with you guys, and I want to make sure that it's gonna be a change, but I want to make sure it's a good transition too. Just so
I don't know, I feel so good about you. I think it was meant to find you.
May I have your blessing to marry your daughter?
And so that was a really cute scene. It's really not much to talk about with that couple simply because they have been doing so well thus far. So I'm hoping that they do get married at the end of the season, because if they don't, then love is not blind, babe. Love is not blind. So the next scene is where the real tea starts to happen. Of course, after telling Jimmy's parents that they don't argue a lot, what do they do in the same episode? They have the biggest argument yet. So this argument starts with them basically out on the patio in their apartment having a decent conversation, but then Chelsea brings up the fact that Jimmy went out the previous night when the cameras weren't rolling, and Jimmy is like, yeah, well, I asked you if you wanted to go out with me, but you said that you didn't, and I asked you a couple of times, and she was like, well, yeah, I just wanted to lay in bed and I had just taken a shower and I just wanted to kind of chill out for the night. He was like, yeah, you didn't want to go. But I kind of feel like it was one of those things where he didn't really want her to go, but he already know how Chelsea get down. Chelsea is insecure, we all know this, so he didn't want her to feel like I'm leaving you out, pretty much is what it boils down to. He knew he was going to hear about it the next day, so I'm sure he probably just asked to be on the safe side, but he really didn't want her to come.
And you shower and get ready to go?
I asked you to go out, and I know that.
You did not ask me.
It was one of my friend's birthdays.
You didn't ask me to go with you. You did not.
I knew damn well you did not want to go with me, one. And I did ask you.
You didn't.
I did ask you. I was like, you can go with me. I was gone for an hour. I went and had one drink.
But basically she says that all the girls from the pods were hitting her up and was like, your man is out, he's having fun, he's drinking, where are you? And she just said that she felt embarrassed by it. I don't know why. She doesn't want somebody that goes out. It's pretty much what it boils down to. And she doesn't want to marry somebody like that. And Jimmy kind of reiterates to her that, hey, it was only an hour and a half. I've only been out once in the last 3 months. Like, I don't go out like that. It's not a big deal. I asked you if you wanted to come, and he said it was an hour and a half total. He told Chelsea that most of the time was driving in the car.
Girls on the pod said, hey, you made this out. Where are you? I don't want to be with someone who wants to go out and party.
I haven't went out in 3 months.
And Chelsea is just wine drunk at this point, which she later does admit. She's like, I don't want to be with somebody like that who goes out. I can't believe you. And she's like, who are you with? Who are you with? And Jimmy's like, I wasn't with anybody. I was with the boys. And she's like, well, the girls in the pods were telling me otherwise. And Jimmy is like, what were they telling you? Who did you see me with? Blah, blah, blah. And she's pretty much like, you were with other girls. And she felt lied to because in the pods, Jimmy had told her like he's not somebody to go out often. And she just said she felt lied to and manipulated in this situation. Mind you, y'all, the man was only out for an hour and a half. If your man can't go out for an hour and a half and you're not tripping about it, I don't know what to tell you, but marriage is not gonna work. And I'm gonna just say that. So Chelsea is going on and on about how Jimmy doesn't care about her and they're still trying to figure out if they want to be together, and she feels like he should be home with her at night so that they can kind of figure out this marriage thing. It's still new to the both of them, which is understandable, but again, hour and a half. The man just wanted to support his friend for his birthday. So then Chelsea gets into the fact that she thinks that he was with his girlfriends, and the girlfriends that she's referring to is the previous girls that Jimmy had brought to meet her on the previous episode. She starts to antagonize Jimmy. It's like, who are you with? Who do you talk to every single day? Where do you go when you go to work? And Jimmy is just like, I go to work. Like, what is going on?
Girls from the pods are there, and then I find out you're with your girls? That's not cool with me. It's not cool with me.
If it's offending you that I have girlfriends, and that's whole nother issue. I work.
Who do you text all day? Who do you text?
Chelsea's just like, I don't feel like you care about me. I don't want to be with somebody that goes out. I think you're talking to other girls, blah, 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 blah. And Jimmy is basically like, do you want me to take a step back from my friends? And Jimmy was like, you've never asked me to take a step back from my friends, so how would I know that? And Chelsea was like, of course I haven't asked you. She's crying at this point, y'all. And she's like, of course I haven't asked you, and blah, blah, blah. And Jimmy is like, well, do you want me to take a step back from my friends? And Chelsea is like, of course I want you to. And Jimmy was like, I'm not willing to take a step back.
Tell me right now, do you want me to take a step back?
Of course I do.
Okay, I'm not willing to take a step back.
Oh, okay, Jimmy. Finally putting your foot down. At this point in the episode, I was like, yeah, Jimmy, tell her, because the girl be tripping. The girl be tripping and falling, and it's not even autumn. It's not autumn. It's summer, babe. It's spring. It's not autumn. And so after he says he's not willing to take a step back, they kind of do like this dramatic B-roll where they're showing Chelsea and they're showing Jimmy. Jimmy goes into the apartment to brush his teeth. And of course, Chelsea follows him to antagonize him further. And she basically is like, well, you're not willing to take a step back. You're not willing to take a step back. She was like, I don't feel comfortable with you having female friends. And he was like, why? And I don't remember exactly what he said, but they basically got into the fact that Jimmy had sex with her. And Chelsea brought it up. She was like, you... And I know it.
It makes me very uncomfortable.
I don't have a physical relationship with them. I want you to trust me.
You do though. You do. You told me her. And the fact that you're saying you're unwilling. No, I don't give a I know you her, and you told me that.
And Jimmy was like dumbfounded, like, because he didn't want Chelsea to tell the world that, because he had just put her on the show. And I'm assuming that when the cameras weren't rolling, he pretty much said like, hey Chelsea, I'm gonna put her on the show. I want you to meet her, but I want you to trust me as well. And I did have sex with her, so I just want you to know that up front. Pretty much what it seemed like. And Jimmy called her out for it. He was like, I didn't want that on TV because I put her on the show. Like, now you're putting my friend in jeopardy. You're putting her reputation in jeopardy because you're upset and you're wine drunk. And so Chelsea continues to be insecure, and she continues to antagonize Jimmy, saying that she saw him out with Jess. And Jimmy at this point is like, okay, now you're fishing. Like, you thought I was out with random girls at first, and then you said I was out with my girlfriends, and now you're saying I was out with Jess.
Hanging out with women.
Who were you with last night? I heard it was with Jess.
Oh my goodness.
How embarrassing.
It was not with Jess. I think you're fishing. I think you're fishing.
And then Jimmy is like, who told you that? And Chelsea couldn't give him an answer. And Chelsea's like, I don't think you love me. You don't care about me. I don't want to be with somebody like this. And at this point, y'all, I'm like, Chelsea, is crazy. Like, she's mad insecure and she's insane. Like, I feel like as females, we all have our insecurities, some more than others, but like to have no proof and just be saying stuff out the womb, you really were fishing and digging for him to tell you something that never happened. Jimmy is basically like, who told you that? Like, I want a name. And Chelsea couldn't give him a name. She's sitting on the chair, she's crying. She's like, I don't think you love me. And Jimmy was pretty much like, you don't think I love you, then we don't need to do this anymore.
If you're gonna sit here and tell me that this is changing how you feel, it changes how I feel too. You just think I'm like full of every time I tell you how I feel?
I do. You know what I'm giving?
If you think I'm full of everything I told you, I don't care being with you either.
It wasn't that cut and straight to the point, but that's pretty much what happened. Jimmy ends the engagement right then and there, and he's like, I'm done. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. And almost immediately, Chelsea goes back to Jimmy and is like, hey, don't leave. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. I'm sorry. Jimmy's like, you've overstepped my boundaries.
Stop. It's okay.
You overstepped my boundaries.
I was like, you go, Jimmy. Finally, like, you're leaving this girl because she's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That scene was really crazy. It had me on my toes, like, what is going on? Because I was really confused as to why Chelsea was mad that her man was going out when the man ain't been out in 3 months. He's been telling her he loves her 10, 20 times a day, getting her flowers, just being super affectionate, and it's just never enough for Chelsea. I was just really happy to see Jimmy finally stand up for himself in that situation, because I was like, it's about time, because this lady is crazy. So fast forward to the next scene. Clay and AD are at their house. They're kind of getting stuff ready for marriage. They're doing the marriage certificate and everything like that, and they have a very important conversation where Clay basically tells her again that he's gonna cheat on her. Yeah. And he says he pretty much doesn't know what he's gonna say at the altar. He wants to be with AD at this point, y'all, but he's like, I don't know if I want to commit to that date. Like, why do we have to commit to that date? Can't we like push it out further? He doesn't say all this, but this is basically what he's insinuating. AD basically tells him like, hey, I'm committed to the experience. I have committed to the timeline and the pause. I wanted to get married. That's why I came on this show. She basically says she's fine with a yes or a no at the altar, but if it is a no, she would not continue to date Clay.
I am okay with a yes or a no at the altar. I can, you know, pick myself up and we can have a conversation about that. Unfortunately, like, I'm not okay with just being like a long-term fiance.
I was clapping for AD because I was like, you might be a little because there's so many red flags, but at least you have enough self-respect to be like, hey, if this is a no, I put my time and effort to this. I've wasted a lot of time at this point. So if it's a no, I'm not going to continue to date you after the wedding if you say no. But she also did say, hey, I'm fine with the yes or no because I don't need a man, pretty much. She was like, I can pick myself up, I'll be good. And Clay is just like, well, we were watching Love is Blind last night, which is so crazy because you're on Love is Blind watching Love is Blind, and of course Love is Blind would place that part in the show. I was like, that's so crazy. He just doesn't feel like he's on the level that the husbands in the show are on. He said he feels like these guys are really ready, and he just doesn't see himself as that leader, as that husband, and that's why he leans on AD a lot. And I felt like this was another red flag because I've always been taught like your husband should be a leader. You should be able to come to your husband and be like, hey babe, I need this, this, and that done. Are you able to help me out with it? Or y'all should be a team, but it should never be the woman leading you. So that was really weird to me. And then Clay again kind of gets into the fact that he's, you know, scared about what his parents did and what he's seen from other divorces, from P. Diddy, Will Smith, all these people he naming who are cheaters, basically is what it boils down to. And he's like, you know, those are his role models. Role models? That's crazy. AD is like, yeah, okay. The thing is with AD, she's like so nice and so sweet. So like she immediately after this conversation gives him a hug and they kind of just talk it out, which is like, okay. I mean, I guess that's how it should be, but it's just odd to me. I feel like Clay is giving a lot of red flags at this point. AD just thinks he's so fine. So she just kind of is blinded by the red flags. If Clay wasn't as fine as he is, a looker, as they said at the dinner, I don't think AD would be as blind to the red flags because the man is basically saying that he has trauma and he should have sat on the couch before he came on the show. And that's just my opinion on it. Period. Okay. So then Chelsea and Jimmy finally meet back up. Jimmy pretty much gives her this speech like, my parents loved you, I've loved you every step of the way. He felt betrayed because of what she put out on TV about his friends. He feels like he gives her a lot of affection and a lot of love, and he feels like it's never enough for her. He's giving all that he can give and she feels like it's zero. He said he bought into the experiment and he wanted to walk out of here with a wife, but at this point he just doesn't trust her judgment. He doesn't trust her.
A couple days ago I introduced you to my parents and I couldn't have been more sure that you were going to be my wife, and I was ready for that moment. Your actions the other night, I felt like I don't trust your judgment. Just felt like I was a little betrayed the other night, and I mean, this morning, my perspective on getting married, I decided I didn't want to.
He's still pretty much done with the marriage. That's what he said. And at this point, I was like, yes, Jimmy, yes, be done with this girl, because I knew they was gonna have another scene when they met back up, but I was like, go Jimmy, go Jimmy, go. 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 Chelsea has her moment to say her little speech, and Chelsea basically ruins the whole thing. Jimmy ends up taking her back. To make a long story short, but I'm gonna give y'all the rundown. Chelsea says that, her delivery in the speech was wrong. She was drunk and she could have definitely handled it better, but some things on her chest were very heavy and she just felt like she needed to get them off of her chest. I guess the amount of times he hangs out with girls, how he goes out a lot, but she also wanted Jimmy to know that, like, I feel like you can't throw in the towel when things get tough.
So you're saying no?
You're saying that I'm not giving you any love and affection, and I feel like I'm giving you as much as I possibly can give.
This is just hard to hear.
And the thing is, things have gotten tough a lot of times in these relationships. I think they've had like 2 or 3 arguments prior to this big argument, and Jimmy has always forgiven her for everything, but she's like, oh, you can't throw in the towel when things get tough. But Jimmy didn't do that. He had stuck with her up until this point, but he's like, no, you crossed my boundaries. He come back to what she says and says, he felt like he would never go home during another argument again. He had made that promise to himself, and the night of that argument he did in fact go home again. And Chelsea oddly interrupts him and says, I felt so in love with you last night. I felt the most love I felt for you in this whole experiment. And it's like, Chelsea babe, are we on the same planet here? Because you literally just read this man for filth and lies. Like, that's all you did last night. So how exactly did you feel loved? I'm a bit confused. That's just me though. She said that she thinks that they both crossed the line and that they can both do better and they both need to set boundaries, but she's basically like, what can I do to fix this? Jimmy is basically like, you need to not cross boundaries. I don't want to ever argue like that again. And then it kind of clips to this scene of him like in the confessional. You know what the reality TV shows do. He's like, that girl is so dang hard to forgive. So basically he forgave her and they are still going through with the engagement. Why? I don't know. I really don't know. Then we come to the lake day. Now there is a lot to unpack at the lake day. So many conversations happened. Jimmy met Jessica for the first time. Sarah Ann and AD had a conversation, and also Chelsea had a conversation with Trevor. Oh, and also Laura and Jeremy had a conversation after everything that went down with them in the previous episodes. Hey guys, it's me here. I am so sorry to interrupt your watching, but this video is getting a little long. I feel like it's just best if we go ahead and make a part 2. I know a lot of people don't like part 2, so I'm so sorry if you do not like part 2s, but if you do, there will be a part 2 up tomorrow to finish off what happened in episode 11 at the lake day. Like I said, there's a lot of tea to get into here. A lot of different people have conversations. I was just editing this and I feel like it would be better if we do a part 2 because the video is already so long and I don't want people to get lost in the sauce or to get bored watching. Hold your horses, do not kill me. But if you do like longer videos, I have no problem making those. Just let me know down in the comments below. I hope you guys enjoyed the video thus far. Please make sure that you guys go watch part 2. I promise it's gonna be good, just as good as part 1. Make sure that you guys like, comment, subscribe if you did enjoy the video. Also, once you subscribe, that notification bell will pop up so that you know when I post part 2 and every time I post a new video. Like I tell you guys in every other video, be sure to stay blessed and not stressed, and I will see you guys in part 2. Bye.